Senator Murray, who really began her career as an early child care worker.
Well, I believe I'm the only person in the Congress that's a former preschool teacher. So.
Which qualifies.
Well, it does. I use the skills all the time. It's absolutely clear. Well, thank you very much. And I, too, want to thank you very much for having this hearing on a very, very important topic. I believe that these kinds of investments really are some of the most important that we can make. We know that the research has been mentioned many times to early childhood learning is really critical to a lifelong success of an individual. In my home state of Washington, we have really embraced these investments in early childhood education. In fact, in 2006, our governor and legislature created the State Department of Early Learning. I think it's the only cabinet-level position in the entire country focused on this. And we've seen some good successes. In my state, there's a community, Bremerton, which is fairly rural on the Kitsap Peninsula, where their district has been working to really focus on early learning. And I think their success really illustrates what we can see nationwide if we focus on this, because 6 years ago, only 4% of the kids who were entering kindergarten in Bremerton had early reading skills. Those are the basic skills of being able to recognize letters and sounds or writing their name. This year, 66% of the new kindergartners are at that level. They've gone from 4% to 66%. And they are seeing the percentage of kindergartners needing special education services dropping from 12% to 2%. And the share of the district's first graders reading on grade level excuse me, has risen from 52% to 73%. So, Madam Chairman, if we do this nationwide, we're going to see costs reduced in special education and remediation, and that is an incredible savings to our country. What are they doing right? They're partnering their school district with Head Start to expand their offerings, and the district is working hand in hand with private child care facilities to make sure they've got the right kind of curriculum and training and professional development for their educators. We are seeing the real need. In Yakima, which is another rural community in my state, 37% of the young kids there live in poverty, and 70% of their kindergartners enter school with low literacy rates. The school superintendent told me that they are doing all the right things. They're using state and federal Title I funding to provide preschool, but their budget is strapped like so many of our communities, and they have a waiting list of over 200 families, and that is unacceptable. So that's why I think this hearing is so important and this focus is so important, and why later today, in fact, I'm going to be introducing my Ready to Learn Act, which creates a new grant program in ESEA to fund high-quality pre-kindergarten opportunities to make sure that our kids are coming to school, being able to be successful. So, Dr. Lombardi, I'm very glad you're here and really appreciate your testimony today and your answers. And I wanted to ask you particularly because I recently introduced the LEARN Act, which is a program to provide federal support for comprehensive state and local literacy programs to make sure that kids from birth all the way through high school get those literacy skills that they need. And I'm often asked why I started at birth about literacy skills. And I wanted to ask you today what your thoughts were on making sure that childhood educators understand language and literacy development from a very, very early age.
Well, first of all, thank you. And I really feel proud that a former preschool teacher is sitting where you are. I'm a former preschool teacher myself, and we're proud of that. And I know you bring that experience with you to your role here. And also to say, you know, I've been very impressed with Bremerton. I think the relationships they made there between the schools and the child care community to promote reading and literacy really obviously have made a difference in the figures that you gave. Why we started birth. I think we heard the studies, you know, the Hart and Risley results about the amount of language, the differences in the language and vocabulary of children at different income levels. It's absolutely critical. What all the panels around reading tell us and literacy is that vocabulary development, oral comprehension, exposure to print, all of those things are precursors to reading. You can't just jump into that without those essential early investments of time into their language development, starting from their firstborn. I'm a new grandma, and I'm living this all over again. And I just spent some time with my grandson, who's just turning 1. And when I think of the day I spent with him and how much language I gave him, I know that that's what I want for all children. And that we've got to help parents understand how to do that. And then we've got to help providers make sure that their early learning environments are rich in language, and it's as important as their social emotional climate. So I think it's terrific.
Great. I absolutely agree with that. So we need to make sure we invest in that at an early age for all students, I think, all young kids in this country. You know, Madam Chairman, I heard the story yesterday of a man named Rob. He's from Kalama, Washington, a very small community in my state. From the age of 13 to 37, he was in a revolving door of corrections programs and spent some time in the state prison. He is a recovering drug addict, and he's also a dad. Well, in 2005, he became clean, got off drugs, and got full custody of his son, and he wanted to turn his life around, and he turned to the Head Start program. There he got the help he needed for his son Jason, who is getting the successful skills he needs, getting into kindergarten and doing great, but it also taught Rob how to be a father. He took on some leadership roles at the Head Start program, gave him the courage to go back to school. He is now in the 2nd year of college, and he's a computer science major. Told me he wants to work with at-risk kids and teach them about computers and technology, and he's turning them away from the rough life that he grew up in. And he's, by the way, started a dad's group for his Head Start as well. So this is a program that really works, and Rob's here in the audience today, and I just want to tell him, thank him for his courage. Rob, you want to stand up?
Hey.
I think Rob and Jason are kind of the picture of why we do these kinds of things, because it really does make a difference for the young kids in the Head Start program. It turns people's lives around, and they give back to all of us and become great members of our societies and communities, and we need them. So thank you very much.
Thank you.